What's up, Send Squad? Welcome back to another Brawl Stars video. Today I'm going to be talking about how you can get on the power play leaderboards and rake in a ton of star points. So if we take a look at the results from last power play season, we can see that the top player in the entire world came in at 1,377 points. So that's sort of the best that anyone was able to do. And then if you just wanted to get in the top 200 globally, you had to get 1,220 points. And if you wanted to do a bit better and make it into the top 100 globally, you'd have to get 1,252 points. But now you also might just want to be getting in a regional leaderboard, and so I'll use the US leaderboard for that since that's the one that I can see. And so if you wanted to get in the US top 200, you would have to get 1,078 power play points, so a full 300 off the top player globally. And if you wanted to get in the top 100 locally in the US, it would be 1,132 points. So those are the benchmarks that you're trying to reach. If you do want to make it on the power play leaderboards, you're going to need to hit these numbers. It's pretty consistent every single season. So as you know, power play lasts 14 days, and since there are 7 different types of events, you have the 5 3v3 modes, you have solo showdown, and you also have duo showdown. So that means that each event is going to show up about twice, and there is some variation with this, but usually you can expect 2 of each of these modes. So let's go over how many points you can get from each individual mode. So solo showdown can get you anywhere from 2 to 38 points for a first place. So that means on average you're going to be getting 20 points per game in solo showdown. And now duo showdown gets you anywhere from 2 to 34 points, so that's going to be a lower average at 18 points per game. And then the 3v3 modes give you 5 for a loss, 15 for a tie, and 30 for a win, so that's an average 17.5 points per game if you're excluding ties. But there's also the potential to get an extra 3 points if you get an epic win, which happens if you meet certain criteria depending on the mode. Won't get into that now. But this means that we can figure out the max possible points you can get in any given power play season. So this is assuming that there are 2 solo showdowns, 2 duo showdowns, and 10 3v3 modes, which adds up to the total of 14, and each event would be played twice. So if you win all 3 games of solo showdown the first day and all 3 games of solo showdown the second day, it comes back up. That's 6 solo wins, which means you get 6 times 38 points. And then you can also get 6 duo wins, which is 6 times 34 points. And you can also get a maximum of 30 3v3 wins plus the epic win bonus on all of them, which would be 30 games times 33 points per game, giving you a total of 1,422 points in any given power play season. So the top player globally last season got 1,377 points, which is just 50 points off of the maximum points that you can get. So this top player, even after being matched against all the top players, only gave up 50 points to make it to the very top of the world. So if you one day want to become the top power play player in the world, you really don't want to give up any more than 1 3v3 game, or you're pretty much already out of contention for the top spot. Basically, you can lose 1 3v3 game and have a few games that aren't epic wins, or maybe a few showdown games where you come in second instead of first, and still have the possibility of being the top player globally. So now if you want to make it to global top 200, that means you can lose up to 200 points from that maximum 1422 and still make it on to the leaderboard. So that equates to something like 5 to 6 3v3 games that you're losing, plus a couple seconds in showdown and maybe a couple epic wins that you lost, or maybe a couple failed showdowns and a fewer number of 3v3 losses. So this is definitely doable and a goal you can work towards. You still have room to make a couple errors in a bunch of different games and still make that top 200 globally. And do note that epic wins are pretty important, because since you are going to be playing like 30 different 3v3 games, if you miss those 3 extra points every single time, that's 90 points you're already losing from the maximum possible points, which is already almost half of the amount of points you're allowed to lose for you to be in contention for the top 200 globally. If you want to do a bit better than that and get global top 100, like I was saying, the cutoff is about 1,252 points for that. That means you can lose up to 170 points. So maybe you just won 1 more 3v3 game or 1 more showdown match than the people who are down in the 200 area. So the top leaderboards are very, very tight, and there is only like a few games that differentiate them. So you can really move up a lot of spots really quickly just by winning a single game here and there. Now, if we turn our eyes to the regional leaderboards, so the US top 200, like I said, it's a even lower cutoff of 1,078 points needed to make it on that leaderboard. So that means you can lose up to 350 points, which is actually a pretty significant number. This means, like, if you're really good at Showdown, you can lose up to 10 3v3 wins and still make it on the leaderboard, because those 10 3v3 wins only adds up to about 330 points. So you would still have 20 points as a buffer in that situation to still qualify for that top 200 leaderboard. And then the final cutoff that we were talking about, the US top 100, usually is about 60 points higher. So that means you could lose up to 290 points. That's closer to 8 3v3 wins that you can drop, as well as a couple points lost here or there in Showdown. Now that we've established how many games you can give up and still accomplish your goal by making it on to these leaderboards, I want to end it off by talking a bit about which modes are the most inconsistent and in which you can expect to potentially lose the most amount of points as compared to the maximum. So I actually was able to calculate the variance for all the possible point rewards for all of the different modes. So the variance is essentially just going to be a measure of how spread out the data is. So with a larger variance and with the data being more spread out, that means that potentially making a mistake in any of these modes and dropping down a couple places or losing the game will have a greater impact on the amount of points that you're going to lose. So the variance of the rewards in solo showdown is 146.67. In duo showdown, it's all the way up at 160, and in the 3v3 modes, it's 156.25. So that means solo showdown has the least amount of variance and is going to be the most consistent way to get points. I mean, obviously, if you just never do showdown and you're bad at showdown, then that's probably going to be the mode where you will lose the most amount of points. But in general, solo showdown is going to be a bit more consistent, whereas with duo showdown, which has the highest variance, is going to be a bit more inconsistent. If you just drop down 1 or 2 places, you're going to be losing a ton of points, and that can be a pretty big deal. You're probably going to be losing the most amount of points in duo showdown. And hopefully this video was helpful. If it was, make sure to like and comment down below and subscribe to join the Sen Squad. But that's all for today, guys, so see you later.